Welcome back. Today, something happened you don't often see. A sheriff's deputy broke down and cried on the witness stand. It was during day one of Tennessee versus Steven Wiggins. Wiggins is facing multiple charges, including premeditated murder in the 2018 death of Sergeant Daniel Baker. Investigators say Sergeant Baker was on routine patrol when he went to investigate a report of a suspicious vehicle and ended up dead. Prosecutors claim Wiggins shot Sergeant Baker, dragged his body into his own police cruiser, drove that cruiser to a rural area, set the car on fire with Sergeant Baker inside. We're going to show you that fellow officer breaking down on the stand. But first, here's more on the case from our affiliate, WTVF.
The Country View Market may not be in the center of Charlotte.
It's like this cloud just is hanging over everybody.
But it's always at the heart.
Hey there, how are you?
Of a community conversation.
I just think it's a tragedy.
On the lips and minds of all the locals.
Nobody should have the right to take any other person's life.
Our heart's shattered with this.
Is an upcoming murder trial that for years has felt like it's sitting on the shelf. Back in 2018, investigators say Steven Wiggins shot and killed Sergeant Daniel Baker at the Dixon County Sheriff's Office. Then for several days, he led law enforcement on a manhunt through rural parts of Dixon County. The crime was so brazen, it left a lot of residents afraid to leave the house.
Somebody that could do something like that, you know, and then they're out and about in the woods somewhere, you know, they were pretty fearful.
But then finally, Wiggins was caught just 2 miles from where they found the body.
The suspect in the Dixon County manhunt, Steven Wiggins, is in custody.
While the capture was swift, the scales of justice have tipped slower.
We were kind of frustrated because it was taking so long.
I just want the best for that family. I want closure for that family. I want healing to happen for that family.
How you doing?
And at the market that is always at the heart of the conversation,
We all got these.
they're wearing a little bit of their hearts on their sleeves.
Honoring Sergeant Daniel Baker, and we've got your 6.
With photojournalist Jordan Powell.
We're going to wear them until it's done.
Today, both sides gave their opening statements, and then the jury heard from Deputy Brian Cave. Take a listen.
Do you know about how long you were tracking on this trail?
20, 30 minutes.
And what made you stop?
I heard other officers back at Sergeant Baker's unit.
Okay. And did you go back to Sergeant Baker's patrol unit?
Yes.
Need some water? What did you observe when you got back to the patrol unit?
The deputies that were on scene at that time had requested permission from Captain Gafford to crack the window on the patrol unit. And they had popped the unit and found Sergeant Baker. And found Sergeant Baker inside the vehicle.
Thank you for your testimony. I just have a few more questions. Were you given additional assignments at this location on May the 30th?
Yes, I was.
What were you assigned to do?
After it was determined that Sergeant Baker was deceased and the EMT was no longer needed at the scene, priority 1, which is rush traffic, I went back to the roadway, moved my vehicle approximately 50 to 75 feet inside the field and secured it with caution tape, thereby securing the scene at that location.
You secured the scene of this location?
At the roadway, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And did you also start a crime scene log?
Yes, sir, I did.
Oof, an emotional day in that courtroom, just day one. Brian Weiss, the state, you bring in a cop, sheriff's deputy. Jurors are, I'm sure, they were expecting something different, and only because they're used to courtrooms, right? And they're used to, keeping that tough exterior. Oh, and then he breaks down. That had to have hit home with this jury. Your thoughts?
Make no mistake, Ted, this is going to be one of the most powerful moments of this trial, save and except perhaps for the sergeant's widow testifying. We like to think that courtrooms are well-lit, sterile places where people settle their differences under the rule of law. But I think what we've seen tonight in these clips, again, underscores the fact that courtrooms are also theaters in which morality tales are tried. And what we've seen tonight in your video underscores the fact that the people on both sides of the equation, and in this case, the victim, Sergeant Baker, are human beings. And I think the prosecution has done and will continue to do an outstanding job of doing what most great prosecutors do, which is humanizing their victim.
KC, early, this is a death case. The defense is not contesting that the defendant is responsible for the sheriff deputy's death. But they, one would assume, they're going for a life without. They don't want the death penalty here. And to do that, you have to humanize. And the defendant, the testimony like that today is going to be a tough bar to get over, because it does hit home, as Brian was talking, just the effects of murder like this, taking someone like this out of the community.
Absolutely. And from the beginning of this case, the prosecution hit a home run with the opening statement. And even with that direct examination, it's just hard not to have emotions. And that definitely was a slam dunk. So in this case, whether or not the difference between the premeditated or the life without the possibility of parole, well, we know that premeditation only requires intent to kill prior to the act. And with this case, that intent was formulated when Mr. Wiggins lied to the officer, Sergeant Baker, and stated that he couldn't open up his driver's side door. And when Sergeant Baker walked around to the passenger side, there's that premeditation when he shot through the passenger side window and continued and shot him 5 additional times. So I don't see how the jury will come back with first degree as opposed to premeditated first degree murder.
Yeah, there's so much evidence here, and not only the actual, who's responsible, but the callous nature. At one point, Michael Bixon, the defendant, told police that he went and continued to unload his gun into the victim here because it was like, as he described it, he said, like putting down a dog. He wanted to somehow help him not suffer as much. Didn't call 911, didn't give any medical aid, no. Put it down like a dog. I would imagine that this jury, after day one, has got to be absolutely, first, exhausted by the emotion in that courtroom, but also infuriated by what happened to that man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is going to be a very emotional case, and all of those emotions are going to be very negative towards the defendant here. I mean, for him to try to bring up some sympathy later on, or even during this trial, it's going to be extremely difficult. You really have to question whether or not statements like he made to the officers during the investigation about, what he said about shooting the sergeant, did he actually think that was going to help him? Was he just being callous? I mean, was he being sarcastic? And it's so hard to say. I mean, obviously, if you're his attorney, at times like that, you obviously wish he hadn't said anything at all, because anything would have been better than that. But the whole crime is just so horrible. And, it's hard to say any murder isn't terrible, but this one is extremely callous. And I think as the trial goes on, you're going to see a lot of looks from the jurors over his way that are just not going to be the most pleasant.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. Those looks, I'm sure, started today. This jury is sequestered. They are going to be working very hard, and they'll be back at it tomorrow morning. They've been asked to come back a little earlier tomorrow. We'll have live coverage of day 2 of that trial. We're bouncing between the North Dakota trial and that trial, but they're both fascinating, and we'll have live coverage of that starting tomorrow. This is a case that affected, you talk about that North Dakota case affecting people. This one really ripped the heart out of that community in Tennessee, and you're seeing it all play out in that courtroom, seeing it with that deputy breakdown. and he cried on the stand because he was recounting what happened, showing everybody that he is absolutely human.